and welcome to the channel. My name is The Steak Bake, and today we're going to be discussing England's drab 2-1 extra time victory over Slovakia. Yes, that's right, England are through to the quarter-finals with a 2-1 victory after extra time against Slovakia in a game that England once again didn't look particularly good in, didn't look particularly together. They still weren't doing the right things. However, there are a few encouraging signs, and certainly things like Jude Bellingham's bicycle kick in the 95th minute will be moments that live long in the memory for any England fan. However, it's another match which is being met with a lot of controversy, a lot of opinions, a lot of hatred, a lot of anger, and I can certainly see where those people are coming from. It was another drab England performance, and we were seconds from going out. In my previous videos, I have been talking about how England can improve tactically, how they can do better, what they can do, what substitutes they can bring on, what lineups they can select in order to improve as a team, and my points basically still stand. We've not really changed too much. Kobbie Mainoo finally played in midfield for a full match, and he did absolutely fantastically, to be fair to the lad. Certainly an improvement on what had been there before in this tournament. That's no slight on the abilities of Gallagher and Trent Alexander-Arnold. It just didn't really fit them for this system, and it looked much more suited for Kobbie Mainoo. However, England haven't really changed much, and I feel like I'm just going to be repeating myself because England still need a left-sided player at left-back. England still need a runner in behind on the left-hand side, a winger that's going to stay out there if he needs to, but then also come in. England are still playing players out of position like Trippier, unfortunately, and it's all down to selection. It's all down to the team selection and the tactics that have been set up. England still look a little bit like they don't really know what they're doing, but that has also been a bit of a theme throughout Gareth's tenure, and I feel a little bit like I'm just saying the same things over and over again now. So I'm not going to go into the same amount of detail that I have been in previous videos where I talk about individual roles in an England squad and how that can stretch defenses and do things like that. I'm not going to go into that. This is probably going to be a much shorter video, just kind of opinions on England as a whole, and to give a kind of little note that perhaps you might look at England with a little bit more fondly after this tournament. But before we get into the positives, we've got to talk about the negatives. And you have to say, yet again, it was boring. England didn't really threaten the goal that much. England didn't really create too much. The moments that we did create were offside or didn't really land on the right player's head. I mean, Harry Kane did miss his sitter, which I felt like he would score if he was playing for Bayern or Tottenham. But he didn't score it for England yesterday. England still aren't really creating those high quality chances, and I think England need to be brave enough to start attempting those lower XG opportunities. I think there's one of those things that I've been saying. I'm a big advocate of shooting when you get the opportunity, or crossing the ball when you get the opportunity, regardless of whether it's a perfect opportunity. And I think that's the problem with England. We're always trying to cut out this perfect goal. It's always trying to be that perfect pass across the goalkeeper to be tapped in inside the 6-yard box. A little bit Man City-esque, where you cut in from the wing, you pass it across, it gets tapped in from 3 yards, and it's an inevitable goal as soon as it hits the striker's foot. And we're always trying to score that like perfectly neat, high XG chance goal. And I think England need to be a little bit braver, to be honest. And the thing I would say is just have a go. There were quite a few opportunities where Foden, for example, had the ball 25 yards out. Saka did. Even Cole Palmer when he came on. Harry Kane had the ball in positions where I felt like he could maneuver it onto a foot to shoot. He didn't necessarily have a wide open space opportunity to shoot. I felt that there was an opportunity, rather than shielding the ball, turning it and passing it back, or passing it out to the winger, or, you know, trying to play a cutting pass through the middle for that one-on-one. Sometimes you just need to have a go. And I think that's something that England don't really do. It's something that a lot of teams don't really do now. The XG philosophy that you see in football these days is kind of ruining the level of chances that certain teams are trying to take. Certainly, if you look at any team that has a high profile, like a Manchester City, for example, they try and create high XG chances, and they don't take many risks. Their passes aren't super risky. They have the best passes in the world, so that when they do take a risky pass, it does pay off as well. So there's always that kind of element to it. And England are the same. We just try and walk the ball into the box, really, and it doesn't really work against a team that's going to put 10 men behind the ball like a lot of teams are going to do against England. You know what? It might work against a France. It might work against an Italy, someone like that, but it's not really working against the the Serbias, the Slovakias and the Slovenias of the world, it's not really working against them because they're quite happy to take a 0-0. They're quite happy to sit back and defend and hit you on the counter-attack, and therefore you're not creating the right opportunities. And I think England just need to be a bit more brave. The same comes from their crossing as well. There were a number of opportunities where the ball was laid back from Saka to Kyle Walker, and I thought, just whip it in. Just whip it in. There's people in the box. Jude Bellingham's at the back post. Harry Kane is kind of in the middle, occupying some space. Just whip it in. Put some power on it. Whip a hard ball across the penalty area. You know, this kind of height. Make it difficult to deal with. Put a lot of power on it. Might get an own goal. Might get a corner. The worst you're going to get is it gets cleared. And most of the time, when you're up against a team with 10 men behind the ball, when it gets cleared, it goes back to you. So you might as well just whip the ball in. Try and cause some danger. Cause some chaos. I mean, you look at some of the teams that have almost relied on own goals to get through in some of these games so far. France, certainly last night, they got through based on just an own goal. They didn't really create much at all. It was very similar. They had a go. He had a swing at the ball. It hit a defender's knee and it went in. There's been a few like that. Why not just go for it? Georgia against Spain the other day whipped a really powerful ball in, and all the Spain defender could do was kind of chest it into his own net. And I think that's the kind of thing that England aren't really taking advantage of. Admittedly, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to win the game on own goals. That's not quite what I'm saying. What I'm saying is chaos ensues from having a go, and sometimes the chaos is better than the boredom. And that's what I'd like to take to England. Just have a go, have a shot, have a cross, put the ball in, smack it. Why not? Worst that can happen is a goal kick, really. That's probably the worst thing that can happen, especially when you're hitting it with any kind of venom. Most of the time, you're not going to be counted on from doing that. It's just going to be, it's going to go over the bar and you've wasted a bit of an opportunity. But people will be more encouraged by you saying and doing that kind of thing. If you're having a go, people will get behind you. People will support a team that tries hard. And I think that's the kind of thing that England need to do going forward. That's really all I have to say about England tactically in this video. High XG versus low XG. Have a few low XG chances. Go for it a little bit. Try a bit harder. Challenge yourself a little bit. And I think that will be enough to get England through the next couple of rounds. But I think I want to end this video by just having a little nugget of positivity. And it was initially from White Callum on Twitter, and I completely agreed with him in that football is made up of moments. And those are the moments that you remember later. In 4, 5, 10, 20 years' time, when you look back on this tournament, what are you going to remember about England? And I don't think it's going to be, we remembered us being boring. I think what we're going to remember is Jude Bellingham's bicycle kick. I think what we're going to remember is that we got to the final and we lost, or whatever. Our end result is what we remember. We remember the end result. We don't necessarily remember how we got there. It's not necessarily about the journey. It's about the destination, and it's about those little moments along the way that got you to that destination. Jude Bellingham's bicycle kick is a historic moment for English football if we do well in this tournament. It will be remembered for a really long time. It will be an iconic image of Jude Bellingham acrobatically and him with his arms in the air. Hopefully not the later celebrations that Jude did, because he could be in trouble for those, but we'll move on from that for now. It's all about moments. It is all about moments. And you've just got to look back on the other tournaments that England have gone through in the past. What are the moments that you remember as an England fan? Is it England crashing out on penalties to Portugal in 2004 and Ricardo taking off his gloves to save the winning penalty? Is that the moment that you remember from that tournament tragedy? Or do you remember England not playing particularly well in one of the games beforehand, or England playing really well in that game? Do you remember how well England played in that game? I don't. Rooney being sent off and Ronaldo's wink. Those are the moments that you remember from that tournament. You don't remember how well England played. You really don't. Even back in 2021, do you remember how well we played then? We were tragically bad in the group stage, if I remember correctly, but it's a hazy memory, that's for sure. What I remember is Luke Shaw's goal in the final, and that moment of elation as an England fan. I remember collapsing on the floor with my arms in the air going, yeah! When Luke Shaw scored that goal. It was elation, pure unbridled joy. And that's the moment that you remember from the tournament. So if England keep winning, and let's say England win this tournament, let's say they win it. Unlikely, but let's say they win it. You will look back on this tournament fondly. Not boring. You won't think it was boring. You just won't. Football's made up of moments, and you remember the moments. Let's try and remember that going forward, that as long as we're winning games, It's fine. It's fine at the end of the day. Fair enough. If we lose a game and it's against, you know, Turkey or something like that, ton of bricks down on the FA and everyone involved, because that's an embarrassment and England shouldn't be doing that. If we lost to Slovakia last night, completely justified to boo England off the field and tell them that they're all rubbish and that they're an embarrassment or whatever. Completely fair. But until we start to lose, I think you need to remember that it's all about the moments. Just a little nugget of positivity to try and help you get through the rest of this tournament, because I know it's difficult to watch. I know it's hard to be an England fan right now, but we haven't lost. We continue to go through. We're still in the tournament. We've got further than some pretty big teams. I'm looking at Belgium, for example. We've got further than some teams like that. Italy are out already, the holders. We're still in it. We've still got a chance of winning this tournament, so let's hope that we can continue. Sorry, it's a shorter video today, but I felt like if I'd started to talk about tactics, I'd have just been repeating myself from the other videos. Please go and check out the other videos, by the way, if you have enjoyed them so far, my reactions to them. I've tried to remain more tactical and more glass half full than glass half empty, but I've certainly not shied away from being critical of Gareth Southgate and his men, because they have deserved some criticism. If you do like the video, please leave a like and a subscription on the video. As always, leave some comments down below on what you think of England and how you think they could improve, and moments that you remember as an England fan. Please give me your favourite England moment. Tweet me it as well. There's also some social media stuff down below and scrolling across the screen right now. Go and click that and tweet me your favourite England moment. I would much appreciate it. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one. Come on, England. And remember, be kind to one another. Bye-bye.